Saturday, the 7th of January 2023, racing takes place at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on the summer course. We've got a bumper program that awaits us. 12:05 is when race number 1 commences, and we've got some top quality horses on show. We've got 2 grade 1s, 2 grade 2s, and a grade 3, along with some nice other feature races on the day. Graham, good to be speaking to you once again for this selection show, courtesy of Gallop TV. And how are you doing? How's the mood heading into Saturday? And hopefully we can guide the guys in the right direction.
Yes, hopefully we do guide them in the right direction. I'm very excited. I can't wait to be on course for the running of the King's Plate. To see Charles Dickens go head-to-head with his older rivals is going to be very exciting. But it doesn't end there, as you've mentioned. It's a quality day's racing throughout the program, starting with the first, which is an unusual race, of course. It's the Okapi Ladies International over 1,200 metres off at 12:12. Thankfully, not in any of the exotics, but it's restricted to our lady riders, and it's going to be great to see them in action.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, thankfully it's not part of the exotics. The exotics will start in race number 2 on the program at 12:40. But race number 1, 1,200 metres. With regards to the ladies that take their part here, are you aware of any of them? Have you heard a whisper of them about the ones that could possibly be the leading lights in the race? Or what's your take on race number 1?
Not really, and I have no way of measuring their respective talents. Justin Snaith saddles half the field. He's got 6 of the 12 runners, but I kind of think that number 6, Miss Greenlight from the Brett Crawford stable, her course and distance record is 4 starts with 2 wins, a second and a fourth. I think Miss Greenlight, who's currently trading at around 11-2, should make her presence felt. But then, of course, number 8, Pacific Green, and number 9, Bernica from the Justin Snaith stable. They both also have very good course and distance form and very good recent form. Not an easy race to nail your colours to the mask. But my top 3 choices in no particular order would be number 6, Miss Greenlight, number 8, Pacific Green, and number 9, Bernica. Possibly number 1, Distinction. It's nice to see Danielle Riverland get a ride. Tony's daughter is riding number 1, Distinction. Also for the Snaith team, drawn in gate 1, Distinction has also got pretty good form, so she should give Danielle Riverland a very nice ride. But the race is up for grabs, and it's going to come down to I think who gets the best out of their mounts over the last 200 metres.
Absolutely. Competitive starter there to the day. And just one more I'll throw into the mix. Number 5, certainly 3-year-old daughter of Wiley Hall. I think she's a lot better than her recent form does suggest. And I think that it is a positive that she's dropping in trip down to 1,200 metres, which she has been effective over. And perhaps certainly could bounce back to some of her better form at some decent odds of around 16-1 in the market. But a competitive start to the day's proceedings over at Kenilworth with race number 1, the Okapi Ladies International over 1,200 metres. Now we're going to move along to race number 2. 12:40 is the time you need to get involved in those bipods. 1,000 metres the distance. And this is a work riders event, and work riders that we are more familiar with. Favorite in this lineup here is Osinka at 28-10, Black Eager at 33-10, Green Falcon at 33-10 as well, and then it's 5-1 about Night Tiger. Now, Night Tiger, that would be the top choice for me. He's a horse that I think that this work rider would have got a fair idea of him after riding him last time out, and will probably be slightly more handy than he was last time out behind Future Turn, and I think he could just represent the value in the race at 5-1. But what's your take on the race, Graham?
Again, a very tricky race. Many with good form. As you said, it is the Drakensberg Stud Farm Workers Work Riders Maiden Plate. Callum Dixon rides number 8, Trippy T for the Andre Nell stable. That ran second last time out. Your fancy number 9, Night Tiger, with the same rider aboard, ran second last time out. I know they're expecting Silver Sleet to show good improvement after a debut effort. Orzin Kerr has been expensive to follow. He's been placed second on 3 occasions. 4 occasions from 7 starts. The work rider is very useful, so Orzin Kerr should get a good ride. Of course, William Bambiso won the last work riders race, and this time teams up with Black Egret. Last time out, when we had a work riders race, Bambiso rode Gimmy's Laddie for the Canamare stable. Now he rides for the Fortune stable, number 2, Black Egret, who's been second, third from 4 outings. So there's a lot of form to go around. Green Falcon you also mentioned. So I think you've got to play pretty wide in this, the opening leg of the bipod. It could be dangerous to go narrow.
For you, how many horses would you include?
I'm including 5 horses in the first leg of the bipod, but I've got a smallish perm. I've got 2 bankers that I really like quite strongly later on.
Yeah, Graham taking no chances in the first leg of the bipod, and he's certainly hoping that he can double up with 5 horses in the first leg over the 1,000 meter trip. Now we're going to move along to race number 3, and this is the Trippy Stakes, 1,000 meters the distance, and you need to get involved in those bets by 1:15 on the afternoon. This is the start of the place accumulator. Favorite is horse number 6, Gimme Lightning. It's then a 5-1 about Ripple Effect, 7-1 Golden Tajana. It's 8-1 about Captain Arrow, 14-1 and better about those. Now I thought race number 3 was quite competitive. I didn't think the betting was the best of guys. I thought that there were horses at bigger prices that definitely represented a lot better value than the 16-10 favorite here. And we all know that the 2-year-olds, they can turn the form on one another in each start. So race number 3, the start of the place accumulator. I don't think it's an easy start.
Not an easy start, but I do think that number 6, Gimme Lightning, is a worthy favourite. Did win very well on debut. That was over 900 metres, but finished the race off with an absolute flourish, and the extra 100 metres would certainly be in its favour. Richard Faree teams up for the Justin Snaith team. Gimme Lightning, one of the forerunners from the Snaith stable, and this is the first leg of the place accumulator. So I think he does set the standard. Should have further improvement. He did beat... In that race, he beat Speeding Bullet, who at that stage was ridden by Richard Faree. Speeding Bullet has come out to win subsequently, so the form has been franked. I do think there's a lot of improvement to come from number 2, Golden Tachana. That was fancied to run well on debut, and the daughter of Erupt could make her presence felt here. Number 9, Ripple Effect, obvious claims, beat Heirloom on debut. Heirloom was beaten again this week, so how strong that form is, we'll have to wait and see. Captain Arrow, there was a lot of talk about Captain Arrow. He was solidly backed from 8-1 into 5-2 to make a winning debut on the 17th of December. That was on Guinea's Day, and he ran 4th under a length behind Speeding Bullet. Also, plenty of scope for improvement. Last time he was drawn in gate 1, right down the inside. Now he's drawn in gate 14, right up the outside. Press on regardless, that could also improve. And Raskova won well first time out, also likely to improve. So it's a tricky start, but I do think that number 6, Gimme Lightning, is a worthy favourite. And for smaller players, I know, Raheel, you think it's a tricky race, and I respect that view, but for smaller players, one would expect Gimme Lightning to at least run into the first 3, so it does shape up as a potential place accumulator banker for smaller players, but in the bipod, I'm going all of numbers 2, 3 and 6.
2, 3 and 6 for Graham in the second leg of the bipod, and place accumulator, he did mention that if you want to take a chance and maybe bank a horse, then number 6, Gimme Lightning could be one. I think Miss Hannigan could be in with a shout here. She does have a better weight turnaround here now with Raskova, who she was giving weight. Last time out, she was given 3 kgs. She's now carrying level weights with Raskova. So I think she could possibly turn the form around there. And Graham mentioned number 14, Captain Arrow, could be another horse to include into the mix as well. Race number 3, I think it could be a tricky start to the place accumulator, but as Graham mentioned, perhaps number 6 could be the right horse in the lineup. Now we're going to move along to race number 4. 1,000 meters is the distance, and this is the start of the pick 6. And I did see that we do have a carryover in the pick 6 of around 1 million rand, Graham. And hopefully we can get to a very nice pool in that pick 6, and hopefully it's one that is certainly worth playing into.
Well, we're expecting the pick 6 pool to top the 6 million rand mark. The first leg, as you've mentioned, is the Franschhoek Motor Museum Winchester Sprint Cup. It's a new race in the program over 1,000 meters. The weight structure is very interesting. I'm very strong on a horse here. I'm very, very strong on number 6, Trompy. Now, it's a long time since I've seen a horse being declared to carry plus 3.5 kilograms, but clearly he was set to carry 50 kilograms. Ron Vernieke can't get anywhere close to that sort of a weight. Vaughan Marshall is accepted to take the extra overweight. So Trumpy will carry 53.5 because that's all that Grant Van Niekerk would do. But I still think, even with the plus 3.5, he's unbeaten over track and trip. He's absolutely at his best over 1,000 meters. I cannot see the early race favourite Weird Jamming beating him or having the pace to beat Trumpy over 1,000 meters. If it was 1,200 meters, I'd be in the camp of Weird Jamming. Over 1,000 meters, Weird Jamming has run 3 times over track and trip for 3 seconds. Trumpy's run twice for 2 wins. So I'm very much and very strongly in the camp of number 6, Trumpy. He's certainly one of my 2 bipod bankers that I alluded to. Whether you're brave enough to banker him in the first leg of a carryover pick six, that's another story, because there are obviously some very talented runners in the race. Bluff and Bluff has got good form. Resonate's got good form. We've mentioned We're Jamming, probably better over 1200, but certainly can't be ignored over 1,000 meters. Isi Vungu Vungu, we know that Peter Muscat's always had a very high regard for Isi Vungu Vungu, but he hasn't run since July, and to be sharp enough to come out and win a race of this sort after such a long break would take some training. But of course, Peter Muscat, as we know, is a trainer out of the top draw. Rio Carrari could bounce back. Sergey, I know from the stable, he's exceptionally well. And Afika is also a 1,000 meter specialist and is in very good form. So there's a lot of depth to the race. But Rahil, I'm going to know my fate in the pick six very early. I'm going to bank at number 6, Trumpy.
Being a brave man there, going with number 6, Trumpy. And Graham, it's good to see Christoph Sumion down in the Cape. He's got the ride on number 9, Isi Vungu Vungu. Quite interesting that he actually rides for the Hollywood Syndicate and Peter Muscat here, and he seems to have some fair chances on the day.
Yeah, I think he's been brought out to the country by Mike de Kock and Mary Slack because he's riding Golden Ducket and Desert Miracle. So I think he's here to ride Mary Slack's horses and Golden Ducket, I think, in the WSB Met at the end of the month. But it's great to have Christoph Sumion here. A couple of years back we had Ryan Moore riding Rainbow Bridge in the WSB Met. Now we're going to have Christoph Sumion in action on Golden Ducket. So more about that later, but it's great to have him in the country.
And just one more horse that I'd throw into the mix in race number 4, the start of the pick 6, would be this number 5, Mr. Cobbs. Now, he is a 6-year-old, so he's obviously doesn't have the improvement that the younger horses do have, but he's at home over the distance at 25 to 1 in the market. He could be a nice lurker, especially in the first leg of the pick 6. I think that he'll enjoy a nice pace in the race, and he'll be doing his best work late on in the day, and he just carries 54 kg, so at 25 to 1 in the market, I think Mr. Cobbs could be some nice value in race number 4. Now we're going to move along to race number 5, which is the first of our graded races on the afternoon. This is the Cartier Scepter Stakes over 1,200 meters. 25 past 2 is the time you need to get involved in those jackpot 1 bets, and race number 2, Princess Kala, 2 to 1 in the market. She's found the early support. It's 9 to 2 about Ciao Bella, Desert Miracle, 8 to 1 Santa Maria. Now, a lot of these horses in this lineup, Graham, they are runners that haven't earned their ratings over the 1,200 meter trip, and they are at the top of the boards. So I'll hand it to you, and you tell me, what's your take on the race, and is Princess Kala your top choice?
Princess Keller would have to be the top choice. She was super impressive when winning over 1,000 meters last time out. You know, these class grade 1 type fillies, they can win over any trip. And the Kenilworth 1,200 meters is quite a tough 6 furlong track. So I expect, we don't know what the wind is going to be like. If the wind gets up and they're running into a strong headwind, that will only enhance her winning chances. So obviously it's going to be important to know for all races just how strong that headwind might turn out to be. But Princess Keller has got to be the top choice. She's obviously in very good form. She doesn't know what it is to run a bad race. I mean, she was solidly backed to win a 1,000 meter race last time. She got the better of a Pico. She'll be even better over the 1,200. For me, Christoph Sumion's Mount Desert Miracle is interesting. 1,200 meters probably too short. 1,600 meters is too far. She's an absolute 1,400 meter specialist. But this Kenilworth 1,200, as I said, is not an easy 1,200. And I'm expecting Desert Miracle to be very, very competitive. So my top 2 choices would be 13 Princess Keller, then 15 Desert Miracle. Time for Orchids. Watch out for a big run from her. That's my 3rd selection. My 4th selection is number 17, Santa Maria. But again, as with so many of these races on the high-quality days racing, there are many, many with chances. And just going back to race 4, the opening leg of the Big Six, I quite strongly fancy a lot of horses throughout the day. So I'm going to be playing multiple perms. And while I said Trumpy was a banker, there are going to be other perms where I'm going to put the field because there are races where you can go light in. And of course, Charles Dickens is pivotal to all of the bets that we're going to be playing today. But we'll get to the King's Plate in a moment. But 13, 15, 4 and 17, those are my top 4 choices in this year's renewal of the Cartier Scepter Stakes.
I think horses like number 8, Stiptelik, could certainly get into the mix as well. Wasn't beaten far last time out behind Princess Keller, just half a length. 1,200 meters, no issue at all. And Keegan Willows, he's getting good tune out of this 4-year-old daughter of Schnitzel. So I think Scepter could run well. The defending champion, number 7, Give Me That, could be another horse to include into the mix at some decent price of around 25 to 1 in the market. Does get the blinkers. Grand Fanikak aboard for Justin Snaith. And if this horse bounces back to some of her better form, then she'll be right on top of them. That's number 7. So a competitive race, but perhaps Princess Kala could just be the one to beat, especially the way she won last time out, beating Ipico. And she's a horse that is a 6-time winner from 16 starts. She's got the ability, she's got the class, and she could certainly be the one that takes some beating in race number 5, which is the first of our features on the afternoon. Now we're going to move along to race number 6, 1800 meters the distance. 3 o'clock is the time you need to get your bets on by. And this race here, it's a grade 2. It's a Premier Trophy, 1800 meters. And Graham, this lineup, we see some nice horses on show here. We've got the likes of Do It Again, who I know you are a big fan of. But the favorite is number 3, Universal, at 28 to 10. Rascallion, 6 to 1, along with Do It Again, 8 to 1, Pomp and Power. And then the horse that catches my attention is number 9, Airways Law, at 16 to 1 in the market. He's certainly going to be the play in the race for me. I think that last time out, he would have needed that run, returning off a setback, and he was returning off a rest as well after that Hollywoodbets Durban July run. His rest plus 2 stats are fantastic. 2 runs, 2 wins, and I think it's a massive, massive plus in this horse's camp that he gets Gareth Wright back aboard. He knows him best. 8 rides, 5 wins, and he gets a good tuner of this son of Legislate. So I think Airways Law will run well. But what's your take on the race? Universal, the one to beat?
Yeah, he's certainly the chairman of the Airways Law fan club, that's for sure, Rahil. I admire your resilience in sticking with him, and clearly they're expecting a big run from Airways Law. I believe he's doing exceptionally well at home, and yes, he could make his presence felt. But for me, it's very hard to look beyond number 3, Universal. It'll be his 3rd run after rested and gelded and coming back off an injury. He's looking extremely well. He's been prepped for this race and then into the WSB Met at the end of the month. Many of these horses will be going that same direction. So for me, Universal is a clear first choice. But I am expecting a much better run from number 2, Pomp and Power. I like the way he's settled down in his last couple of runs. And if we go back to the Derby, of course, as 3-year-olds, Pomp and Power beat Universal. They ran 1-2 in the Derby. I think Universal could have his measure this time because he receives 2 kilograms. I'm expecting Pomp and Power to run a much better race. Rascallion, obviously, has a big chance. Airways Law, you've mentioned. Winchester Mansion must have a bit of a chance as well. I think Nexus is going to find it a bit tougher, possibly Warrior for minor placing. And then you mentioned that I am a fan of Do It Again, and of course I am a fan of Do It Again, but I do think that these days he requires at the very minimum 2,000 meters plus to be most effective. That is not to say he can't win this. He's a class individual, and although he's now 8 years old, he is just one that you can never ignore. But for me, it's all about number 3, Universal. Yeah,
Universal, certainly the one to beat, and at 28 to 10, he could actually be worth a bet on the head here, this individual. He's positively drawn in gate number 3, and it was quite an encouraging run last time out in the Green Point Stakes behind Trip of Fortune and Committee Dung Trip of Fortune. They take their place in the King's Plate, and Adam Marcus, he's gone for this race here, the Premier Trophy over 1800 meters, taking on, I'd say, slightly easier. And he could certainly be the one that they all have to set their sights on, horse number 3 in race number 6. Now we're going to move along to race number 7, which is the Cartier Paddock Stakes, grade 1, 1800 meters, and it's going to be an absolute humdinger of a race here. I'm so excited and I'm looking forward to this lineup here, especially seeing Make It Snappy taking on the likes of Captain's Ransom, Marina once again, and Silver Darlin as well in this lineup. And then we have the Hollywoodbets Durban July winner, Sparkling Water. She absolutely romped home when winning the Hollywoodbets Durban July by 3 lengths. And then last time out, Not Striding Out reported possibly best to ignore that run. And Mike de Kock did mention that this horse has been down in the Cape for some time now. A week after the Summer Cup, she was taken down to the Cape, so she's been able to acclimatize nicely there. And Samanga Kumalo is the pilot, and he's the man for the job when it comes to riding Sparkling Water. But Graham, for me in race number 7, my top choice is going to be number 6, Marina. I know last year Captain's Ransom did get the better of her in the Cartier Paddock Stakes, but I think this year she'll turn the form around. She was low flying at the finish last year, and she's a horse that she's proven over the distance, whereas Captain's Ransom, she's had one start for one win, and that did come last year. She's a champion horse, she's a superstar, but I think Marina could just be the value and the one that they have to beat at around 5-1 in the market.
I'm very much in your camp. It's a cracking renewal of the Cartier Paddock Stakes to see the likes of Rain in Holland, Captain's Ransom, Marina, Sparkling Water, the Fillies Guineas winner Make It Snappy, and Hold My Hand, the other 3-year-old in the race, go head to head. It's an intriguing clash. We all know that I think 1,800 metres is at the very end of Captain's Ransom's range, and you're right, she won it last year, but Marina, as you mentioned, was low flying. So I'm also in the camp of number 6, Marina, to edge out number 3, Captain's Ransom. But Sparkling Water and Make It Snappy, they're both very much alive. So when it comes to jackpots and pick sixes, at the very minimum, you've got to include all of numbers 3, Captain's Ransom, 6, Marina, 7, Sparkling Water, and 8, Make It Snappy. The money is pouring on to Make It Snappy. It was 8-1 at one stage, then into 6-1, now into 9-2. The start to finish winner of the Fillies Guineas. She beat Marina in a penultimate start. So they're obviously very confident that the 3-year-old can take on the older horses, which could be the theme of the day, really, which applies also in the King's Plate. So at the very least, you've got to include all of those into your jackpot and pick six permutations. But I'm narrowly in the camp of number 6, Marina, as a first choice. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's quite interesting. Race number 7, Richard Furry rides Captain's Ransom, even money favourite. Race 8, he rides Jet Dark, who's fancied to make it 3 from 3 in the King's Plate, which is now the King's Plate. And then we've got Aldo de May aboard Marina at 5-1, and then in race 8 he rides a 5-10 shot in the form of Charles Dickens. So both jockeys possibly looking for the 2 grade 1s on the day, but I think Aldo de May is certainly the one that possibly has a more advantage in bagging both of those grade 1s. Now we're going to move along to race 8, which is the big one on the day, the Lormerance King's Plate, the grade 1 over 1,600 meters. And before I get Graham's thoughts on the race, we're going to have a look at the rerun, and that of Charles Dickens when winning the Guineas, and that was beating Cousin KC in a scintillating style. And then we've got Jet Dark as well when winning this race last year when it was called the Queen's Plate.
To pick them off one by one up the outside, it's Charles Dickens that got driven into the lead. Ladies and gentlemen, you seeing something special as Charles Dickens shows he's a champion. He wins the Guineas easy. Charles Dickens from Cousin Casey at my command, and then came Royal Aussie. Comedy Dung has taken off on the inside. It's Seeking the Stars that has hit the front. Rainbow Bridge is trying to wear him down up the outside. Down the inside we've got Jet Dark that's absolutely motoring home into the closing stages, and Jet Dark is going to make it back-to-back wins in the Lormerance Queen's Plate. Jet Dark.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking race. Looking forward to seeing both these horses in action here. And Graham, I just want to get your thought on something quickly. When it comes to Charles Dickens now, he's obviously a 3-year-old. He's 6 from 6. But has there ever been a 3-year-old that has come into the race with a higher rating than Charles Dickens does of 128? Because obviously you can go way back, and if you can remember, has there ever been a 3-year-old that's come in with a higher rating into the King's Plate?
No, I believe not. I think that Charles Dickens clearly is the highest rated 3-year-old to ever take his place in the King's Plate, formerly known as the Queen's Plate, and even going further back before that, the King's Plate. So it's had a name change over many years. But Charles Dickens rated 128 is clearly the highest rated 3-year-old ever to line up in this great weight for age 1 mile race. He's rated 2 pounds inferior to Jet Dark. So, you know, Jet Dark, they beat at weight for age terms, strictly according to the handicappers' ratings as they stand at the present time. Jet Dark, who's looking to win this race 3 years in a row, is rated still to beat Charles Dickens, but who knows how good Charles Dickens might yet be. And I'm expecting Charles Dickens to win it, and at the end of the day is racing to be the highest rated horse in South Africa. But Jet Dark is not going to be a pushover, that's for sure. As is the case with the Paddock Stakes, pace makes the race. We say it so many times. I'm hoping that both Group 1s on the day, the Cartier Paddock Stakes and indeed the Lormerance King's Plate, are run at genuine paces. They don't have to be ridiculously fast, but we don't want to see a pedestrian pace. I hope the pace is decent, gives both Charles Dickens and Jet Dark every opportunity of running to their best. I'm expecting Charles Dickens to win it and retain his unbeaten record. Jet Dark to run second, Comedy Den to run third, and fourth place is up for grabs.
Graham, just saying, worst case scenario, they do go a pedestrian gallop. Who do you think that plays into the hands of? Charles Dickens, or would it be Jet Dark, or neither?
I think of the two, it would probably be better for Charles Dickens if they went a pedestrian gallop, which is why I think Speed Machine is in the race with Rachel up, and I see they've added blinkers to Speed Machine's equipment. He's not known as a front runner, Speed Machine, but you know what? If he needs to go out there and make it, at least make it a solid gallop, then we could expect to possibly see Speed Machine in front. Because when you look at the rest of them, Triple Fortune, I'm sure they're going to give a chance. That also races, of course, in the colours of Gaynor Rupert. So they'll want Triple Fortune to have every opportunity to do his best. So we've got, quality. It's interesting. Charles Dickens, a 3-year-old son of Trippy. Triple Fortune, a 4-year-old son of Trippy. Jet Dark, a 5-year-old son of Trippy. What a stallion he's been, and what breeders Drakenstein Stud have been, having bred all three of those. So obviously, from a Gaynor's perspective, Drakenstein's perspective, if Jet Dark were to beat Charles Dickens, yes, she'd be disappointed as an owner, but she bred Jet Dark as well. So it's a cracking race. We could go on and on and on, but I expect Charles Dickens. He reminds me so much of Horse Chestnut, the way he wins his races. I'm in the camp of Charles Dickens to beat Jet Dark and deny him his hat-trick in this race. But I'd be surprised if anything else won the race.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, when it comes to Trippy, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to run first, second and third. And in fact, I actually expect them to run first, second and third here. I think Committee Ding's possibly a quartet chance here. I'm not convinced he'll be able to turn the form around on Triple Fortune just based on his last start, the way Triple Fortune did finish. And we're all excited to see Charles Dickens in action at Weight for Age terms here, taking on older horses. And Graham expects him to make it 7 from 7. I expect him to make it 7 from 7. And I'm sure many of you out there expect him to take a power beating in the King's Plate and to set the record straight here. He's a top quality sort, and win, lose or draw, Candace Robertson is quite positive and upbeat about his future, and hopefully he can get the job done for Gaynor Rupert, the whole Drakenstein stud team, and of course the Candace Bass Robinson racing team. But healthy respect for horse number 10, Jet Dark. And he'll be hoping that he can defend his crown and make it 3 from 3. Now we're going to move along to race number 9 on the program. It's an MR 74 handicap over 1600 meters. And we've got our first handicap on the day. And at the level of 74 here. Now I quite like the look of number 1, Tazona. He's drawn in gate number 1, which is a positive, I think, with Bernard Fairherb aboard. I'm hoping that Bernard can have him slightly closer to the pace. I wouldn't want to see him too far back. I think he's a horse that 1400, he's possibly at his best. 1600, he has run 1 second. I think at 8 to 1, he could just represent some value. He's been doing his best work late on in the day in his last 2 starts. And I get the feel that the summer course will suit him perfectly. And I think he could run well here. Favorite is Blackberry Malt at 4 to 1. Nevada King, 5 to 1. All the money all week long has been for number 4, Captive Moon. 20 to 1, down 6 to 1. That's JP van der Merwe, Adam Marcus teaming up. And then it's 8 to 1 and better Barlows. What's your take on the race, Graham?
Very tough race. You've got to go really wide in race 9. So fortunately, we may be getting away with going light in the first 5 legs of the pick 6. You may get lucky and get away with it, but you're not going to get away with it so easily here in this race. I think it's a field race. Justin Snaith has a very strong hand. He's got 5 runners, including the one you've mentioned, number 1, Tazona. Outside of the Snaith stable, Blackberry Malt trained by Glenn Cotson. You've mentioned Captive Moon, Adam Marcus. And then you've got Sean Terry's Billy Spellbound. You've got Gareth Finzel with Winter Air. But it does look as if Justin Snaith holds all the aces. You mentioned Tazona, Future Turn, Nevada King, Future Swing. They've all got big chances. I like a little bit of number 3, Capazina, as a bit of a roughie. I'm certainly going to throw that into my trifecta and quartet calculations, but I can't be of much help to you here. Rahil, for me, it's an absolute field race, an absolute minefield, a typical MR74 handicap over 1600 meters.
Yeah, that's it. And in the last leg of the pick 6, I'm sure you wouldn't want to be light, especially if you've come through the first 5 legs. You would want to have the field, and that could possibly just be the best route in race number 9. Graham likes a bit of horse number 3, Louis Mkotwa teaming up with Brett Crawford, and line like a bit of number 1 Tizona, and both horses at around 8-10 to 1 in the market. So just could represent some nice value in race number 9, and maybe some exactors and swingers boxed with those 2 horses in race number 9. Now, race number 10, we end off the meeting with a grade 3, and this is the Merchants on Long Chairman's Cup, 2,500 meters the distance. Race number 10 rather, the grade 3 over 2-5. Favorite number 15, one-way traffic at 5 to 1 in the market. He's a narrow favorite ahead of number 13, Navy Strength at 11 to 2, 7 to 1 Han Solo, 8 to 1 Super Silvano, and 10 to 1 and better bar those. I thought some nice value in the race could be number 10, Arctic Drift at 12 to 1. The way he was finishing off his race last time out was quite encouraging. Goes over the same course and distance, and I think he could just be some nice value. And Candice does quite like him a bit as well. She also believes that he could just represent some nice value in the last race on the program.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think number 10, Arctic Drift, is definitely one for the shortlist, as is number 3, Super Silvano. You'll love this 2,500 meter trip. So if you're looking amongst the longer price runners for value, number 3, Super Silvano, I would certainly include into trifectas and quartets. And the same comment applies to number 10, Arctic Drift. The money has been for number 15, one-way traffic. Interestingly, Navy Strength was originally the favourite at 11 to 2. They were betting 11 to 2 the field. One-way traffic was as high as 8 to 1 at one stage, but the money has come for him. He's been given 2 preps, 1,400 metres and 1,800 metres, both distances far too short for him. He's very much at home over this track and trip, having run second in his only start. You've always got to respect the Richard Fourie, Justin Snaith combination. But he's been known to choose the wrong one before, and Navy Strength you can't ignore. Kabela Matsanyani has only ridden him once for a victory, so Navy Strength has got to go in. Han Solo is as game and as genuine as they come. Another one for the short list.
Do you think he'll stay?
The future is bright, cannot be ignored.
Do you think Han Solo will see the 2-5 out, Graham?
Yeah, no problem. He'll stay all day. No problem. Han Solo will get the trip. He's not the luckiest horse around, but he'll make his presence felt. So my narrow top choice would be number 15, one-way traffic. But there are a number of them with chances. So you've got to go wide again. This is the last leg of Jackpot 2. So if you're playing Jackpot 2, then I would suggest that you go wide. Master Redoubt showed a return to form last time out. Blackthorn, you never know which Blackthorn is going to turn up. Sean Terry's also got a reasonably strong hand with 3 runners. Jackpot 2, I'd include the field in the last leg as well.
Yeah, it's another tricky race, and this is the final race on the day. And it's, as Graham mentioned, possibly your best route. Go the field, yeah, and hope for the best possible result for you, but the worst possible result when it comes to the odds of the horses, yeah. And Graham feels number 3, Super Silvano, will love the distance, and he could be some nice value. And for me, and Graham as well, number 10, Arctic Drift at 12 to 1 in the market could just represent some nice value for the Bass Robinson team and Gareth Wright aboard. Graham, I'm looking forward to this meeting come Saturday at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and hopefully it's we get some nice pools, and hopefully we manage to guide the guys in the right direction. Thank you for all of your assistance.
Thank you, Rahil. Always a pleasure to chat to you. And yes, whatever the outcome, we're going to be treated to some spectacular racing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All the best to Graham and his whole family when it comes to the new year 2023. And to you as the viewer, all the best to you. Hopefully you find all the winners on Saturday at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. The best of luck, and we're looking forward to see Charles Dickens take on Jet Dark.